Hi everyone, Macsen here. Welcome to my latest Galactic Civilizations 3 Let's Play. It's actually been a long time since I did one of these, but now's a very good time because there's an expansion out. It's called CRUSADE, and although this video is titled as the #1 video, I actually did a video prior to this where I specifically showed off many of the new features that were added within CRUSADE. So I would recommend you check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, this is the start of the Let's Play proper, where I'll be playing an actual game and going into much more detail than I did in that first video across the whole of the Let's Play. But if you want to specifically see details on the 3 new races that were added in the Crusade expansion, the Terran Resistance, the Onyx Hive and the Slime, yeah, you'll definitely want to check out that first video because I'm not actually going to be playing as any one of those 3 in this Let's Play. I kind of mentioned that I probably wasn't going to in the first video, in the introduction video. Many of the races have basically been changed, altered in one fashion or another, so in many regards they're all a bit different. And I have actually decided upon which race I'm going to play now. It's going to be the Torian Regime. So I guess I should mention why I want to play as the Torians. The Torians were released back with the Mercenaries expansion that came out last year, which is a much smaller expansion than Crusade. Not a particularly good expansion arguably either, apart from the fact that it added the Torians and the Archeans to the game. So I've been wanting to play as them in a Let's Play for quite a long time. I had intended on doing a Let's Play for Mercenaries, but I was ill the month the game came out, the expansion came out, and it's only now I'm really getting a chance to do it. I haven't played an awful lot of Galactic 3 in between patch 1.6 and now. Crusade is patch 2.1. So I was pretty disappointed actually with the development of the game. I felt that things that should have been fixed and features that should have been added to, yeah, they were just taking too long to get around to doing it. It's only with Crusade coming out that things have changed, and yeah, I'm definitely more optimistic about the game than I have been for quite a long time. So the Torians, the main reason why I want to play as them is because I have fond memories of them from the original Galciv game, and they were an original species like the Archeans. And also their race traits and abilities happen to be pretty good, which is completely the opposite situation I find myself in to the last Let's Play I did with a custom Terran race which had literally the worst racial traits going. So they happen to be amphibious as well, which is the only species which has that ability. That's a reason I wanted to play as them as well. So also it's kind of a mixture between the normal carbon-based life form but with things added on top. So they still use farms, unlike the silicon life forms or the synthetics. I did actually want to play as a race that used farms as well, so we get to see more normal species in the game, more generic tech tree as well. So that's another reason why I've gone for them. The races like the Yor and the Drengen have a very different tech tree. I wanted to play a more standard one for this Let's Play. They do have the odd additional thing unique to them though, so it's not completely generic. Also, their abilities they happen to be pretty good. They are prolific, so their planets start with 50% more population than is brought on a colony ship, and population grows much faster. With the changes to how the economy works and production, that could be a pretty significant advantage actually. They happen to be ancient also, so they get extra research from precursor artifacts, and they also get access to precursor technologies. And the traits that they have, which aren't such a big deal to be honest, but they're quite nice. Extra research and morale, yet more growth, and they have a bit more food at the cost of being a bit brittle in combat, which is no big deal whatsoever. So all in all, I think they're a particularly good race. They will be within Crusade, but I guess we'll see. So let's move on to the map settings. So let's start off with perhaps the most important galaxy setting. That is the size of the galaxy that I'm going to be playing on. I'm going to be playing on a gigantic map, which is a pretty big map. Now normally you would have up to 200 colonizable planets found on a gigantic map, but I've actually modified my map settings a tiny bit, the file. So I've reduced that to 60. But in reality, you can have planetary capitals and minor races and extra planets from events and ideology choices. So there'll probably be around 70 odd planets, colonizable planets found within the game, which is, yeah, it will make for a lengthy game, but not a crazy lengthy game that 200 planets would have been. The type of galaxy, I tend to prefer loose or tight, and they're going to play as loose in this game. For opponents, I definitely want to be picking the 3 new empires so we get to see their diplomacy screens and how they play as AIs. Now you might have noticed here their personality. All of these 3 new races happen to be pragmatic, so I want to balance that up a bit. I picked a couple more races. One happens to be malevolent and one happens to be benevolent. Now the Yor actually have an ability to colonize extreme planet worlds, including aquatic worlds, so they are going to be a big competitor in getting those type of planets for me. So I'm expecting them to do pretty well as well. The Yor are a pretty decent AI. And the Altarians may be my biggest threat, depending on the ideology I pick. Now normally I go for Malevolent because it's by far the best ideology in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if I go for it in this game, even though the AI Torians normally would be benevolent. For the game settings, I've basically left this pretty much to default, apart from the difficulty. Going to be playing on the hardest difficulty, Godlike, like I always do for these Let's Plays. The diplomacy has changed a bit. It's a lot harder to milk the AIs for all of their resources like it used to be. So I've added on the disabling of tech brokering as well to make it even harder. I don't particularly like tech trading in games either, to be honest, but I probably don't want to disable it completely. I think all of these are default apart from changing the difficulty. The victory conditions are literally default. I've left them all on. And last thing I should mention about is the galaxy options. So a lot of these are default. The anomaly frequency is default. The resources I don't want to change too much, but I have changed the ascension crystal frequency. So I've put on random, so it could, if it's abundant, it turns out it could be a good way to win perhaps. Although maybe not perhaps. And not quickly anyway. Or it could, well, it could be any one of these settings. So the less there is, the less chance there will be that I'll go for that victory type. The only other resource I've changed is the Nebula, because I like them as a terrain feature. It does mean there will be more Illyrium within the game, so I might go for laser weapons which use that resource a lot. The star systems, I've kept the extreme planet frequency to occasional and pirate bases to occasional. And since I'd mucked around with the map settings, changing the amount of planets that can turn up, basically these don't matter all that much. So yeah, that's basically it for the galaxy settings. Within the map settings file as well, there's an option to change the amount of precursor planets you get, which is a DLC. I changed that to 6, so there'll be 6 of those within the map to find and colonize. So, I believe that's it then for the galaxy settings. Let's actually start a new game. Never again, the Torian Regime, their strengths and weaknesses. Now sadly, Stardock hasn't gotten around to updating this recently. Basically it mentions the Torians were helped by mercenaries to overcome the Drengen who had once again conquered them. When this race came out with the mercenaries expansion, they actually had different abilities to do with mercenaries. The main feature of that expansion was the bazaar. But yeah, that has changed now, so that needs updating. And that's a bit of an issue actually with Stardock. They really aren't great at providing the last touches, the quality of life balances, and polish to the game that they should do. It takes them a long time to get around to doing it, if they ever get around to doing it. And yeah, that's definitely an area that I would criticize them for. But yeah, does our start look anyway? Well, there's a heck of a lot of stars here, and we happen to be over on the left-hand side of the map by the looks of it. Now, probably the most important thing at this stage is actual start in the home world. So how does it look? Well, there's a bonus to social construction and tourism there next to our capital city. We have a resource. It happens to be Epimetheus pollen, which adds extra level to ship construction. That could be pretty good actually. So that's pretty decent start actually. There's a big clump of tiles, which is very important for getting adjacency bonuses, which all of your buildings give in one way or another. Like I mentioned in that introduction video I did, a lot of the buildings have changed though. So it's, yeah, I've pretty much gotten used to the new buildings already though in the bit I've played. I played about 150 turns across 3 different games. I showed the dredging game I did in that introduction video. So yeah, right, let's get started then, shall we? So first things first, I want to show you the technology screen. So let's come in here. It's the layout and the look really hasn't changed all that much, but yeah, there's definitely new things in here and there. Now I actually realized there was a bit of a bug within the initial release version of CRUSADE, but luckily I've been able to do something about that. So basically the Research Institute, it was giving you an amount of 75% to research, but luckily I realized it was bugged and I was about to change it actually in the files, but I noticed someone else on the forums had already done it. They'd actually released a file on Dropbox, so I used that. I'll leave a link in the description of this video as well if you want to use it in your games, at least until the first patch comes out. So it fixed that basically, which was 10 times as much, and I think there's a couple of techs as well that were 10 times more expensive than they should be, which it also fixed. I think is one of these techs, so that's great that we won't have a crazy research building in the game. I'm sure there are other bugs as well, but yeah, I haven't heard of any big ones. So let's well, go back to the tech tree for a second and actually pick a tech, shall we? So if you've watched my colony spam video, things are basically still the same. I would still go for the engine first, get your colony ships as fast as possible and try and colonize as quickly as possible. Even though there are now administrators within the game, you still want to be getting as many planets as quickly as possible pretty much, unless you're playing on a very weird settings map. So in regards to what I'm going to be doing here, well, first thing first, I want to get a shipyard. You don't actually start with one anymore, which if I'm remembering correctly you used to, and I would actually say that that's a pretty bad change actually, because you're always going to want to rush this now straight away, since you're in effect wasting production if you don't get it. So I'm going to buy that straight away, and that's pretty expensive. That's a quarter of my cash gone already. So you can see now I'm producing production here already. And like I mentioned in that intro video, the economy has completely changed. So yeah, from having a wheel, now it's basically all of your production is split equally into 4 parts behind the scenes, and where the production comes from is your raw production, of course. So your raw production is a mixture of mainly your population, and it happens to be the square root of your population. So say for example you had a population of 9, then you would have a raw production of 3. In this case I got 10, so it's 3.2, is it? Yeah. And you get percentage boosts depending on certain factors like approval and aquatic world in this instance. The aquatic world bonus for the Torians, if you're wondering, is that. So it's actually raw production, morale and tourism, We happen to have Epimetheus pollen, like I mentioned before. So I think this, yeah, this looks like a pretty damn good world. Could maybe be a bit better on research. So out of the buildings I want to pick here, a lot of these starting buildings are one-off, one per planet buildings that give extra raw production in effect, which is very rare now. You don't get many of those. So that's social construction. I'm not sure if that counts as social. No, I don't think it does. It's all construction improvements. That's a bit of a pain. What was that? That's ship construction. So the starport would be very good there. And that gives +1 level to ship construction. And that's all construction. So if I put that there, that would give that a boost, but that would not give that a boost. So I might not want... I kind of want to put that there, but I'd be wasting that long term. Guess I could put a better build in there long term. So I think I'll make that first. Then we'll put that there. And I don't really have a good place to stick the computer core. I could put it there temporarily. Yeah. It's definitely an idea. I think I might want that eventually there in the ring of production, perhaps. More than likely my home system will be for production. So I might put that there temporarily and then move it later on to use that for something else. I assume you can do that with these special buildings. Okay, so that looks like the setup I'm going to be using. It's not the best planet ever, but it's pretty good. Right, so now I've got a shipyard. I should actually use it. Now I have played about 30 odd turns with the Torians previously, so if we come into the design there, I should have some ships here that I've already created. So the Hermit Crab ship is a constructor ship, and the Spawner is a colony ship, and the Zero is, well, I've designed these before, so it just has those on, no modules for speed or range or anything like that added onto them. I have a bit of a naming convention for my ships as well. It says favour these now, which you are able to do so. It took Stardock literally years to add any features here. People were asking for this for, well, years. And it was ridiculous because you could have massive long lists that you wouldn't be able to find anything in, because there were no options like there are now for sorting or just showing certain ships at all. It was, yeah, there was about a couple of options, if that, which were pretty much useless. So it's brilliant that this has been added. Shame it took them friggin' years to do it. So what else do I want to add on here? I want to favour that as well, so it ends up there. So you can of course design your own ships and add your own modules on, and even when coming to design mode and stick certain parts on all of these ships. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of this feature. I actually think it took up a heck of a lot of development time that could have been used much better in different areas. But there are people who love this, really love it. You can make your own ships and upload them to the Steam Workshop, so it's I'm not sure I'm in the majority on that opinion. So yeah, they're the favoured ships I'm using to start. Let's stick a new ship here. So I'm gonna have the what should we have? I think I'll have that, which has one extra movement and a couple extra range. It doesn't take much longer than that. I'm tempted to make that though, but I should be able to speed up that time coming up. So the role of the survey ship is mainly to find anomalies, arguably, but early game you want to be finding more planets to colonize, and since there are probably 70 colonizable planets on this map, or nearly that amount, I need to get out there and find them before the AIs start colonizing them. The AI is a lot better now at colonizing as well, I found in the test Torian game I did. Not so much in a Drengen actually, I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I played on a tight clustered map. Right, so there's tons of directions here. I'm actually going to go for that anomaly then, maybe, depending on what it is. Actually, it's only junk, so that's 100 credits max, man, which isn't all that amazing. I'll come up here. These nebulas lower movement, so it's actually pretty bad that I'm surrounded by them. Found one habitable planet already, great. 2 habitable planets, well that's a good start. And yeah, as starts go, I think that's it for the first turn, so let's end the turn. Hope I didn't forget anything. Okay, so let's continue moving. One change I really like is the fact that you can now click on stars and it gives you all the information. That didn't used to be the case. I'm not sure if it was added within Crusade or it was some time between 1.6 and version 2. So yeah, we've got tons of planets colonized there already, so it's looking at a pretty good start. There's an artifact up there, I definitely want to go in that direction. So I'll come up here. Okay, let's check out the homeworld again. So I think I'm gonna want to buy the space elevator. So yeah, let's rush that now. It's rather expensive, so my cash is already going pretty rapidly. But it's well worth getting in stuff at this stage. So I've got 8 turns on that. Let's end the turn. There's a massive amount of things I want to discuss, of course, but I'm not going to do it all at once. I probably, yeah, I want to get through a certain amount of turns in this video. So let's come up here, get a capsule. We've picked up our first anomaly. Okay, so that anomaly happened to have 138 credits. Money is a lot more useful actually than it used to be. Before I would pretty much use it for maintenance and that's about it, but now you need it for certain things like asteroids and also buy-in modules and constructors, not just upgrading ships or maintenance. So how much money have I got left now? I think I'll buy this starport as well. Let's rush that out. Okay. So these buildings, they give very rare amounts of basically raw production in certain areas. You can see there the space elevator, that's 2 raw production, and also the starport's an extra 1. So it's added on to the normal raw amount. We don't get any percentages there yet, but I'm sure we will later on. So getting adjacency bonuses is incredibly important. Right, let's end the turn. How are we doing on that now as well? I should have sped up. Yeah, 4 turns. Want to get that down to, well, 1 turn basically. Let's go and pick up this artifact and find the stars en route. There's no habitable planets there, sadly. And let's pick up that. Extra treasury. Not probably the best of the rewards for an artifact. Now something that's happened here, our borders actually grown in very different fashion to how they used to, and you can see I've actually got an asteroid within my borders. Now I think asteroids were added in about 1.8 or something in 1.9, so it's only recently I've started, well, gotten used to these. What they do basically within Crusade is add extra raw production, and since raw production is so hard to come across, they are incredibly valuable. So let's build a mining base there. And you can see we use some money, so yeah, it's valuable. And you can have the asteroid production go to any planet you want. You can assign it to a planet, but the more distant it is away from a planet, the less you get from it. So if we click on Toria, you can see, oh, you can't see yet. Well, I think it takes 3 turns to make, but it'll give an extra point of production in a few turns. So let's end the turn. And we've got an incoming message from this guy who happens to be a Corks, which used to be within Galactic Civ 2, and they now run the Bazaar and the Mercenaries. So let's have a look in here. This is only if you have the Mercenary DLC, like the Torians and the Archeans. We could actually buy that ship. It's very fast supposedly and has long range. To be honest, I think this feature of the buy-in ships in here needs balancing. A lot of the ships are just crap, frankly, and are massively overpriced. Some are pretty decent, but I don't have the resources or money to buy them yet. Something we'll have a look at in more detail later on. We know about that because of that. Okay, so what's going on? My survey ship, let's get moving. I want to find more stars and pick up more anomalies. There's capsule there. Which direction am I mainly coming in? I probably should be coming over there and up there. There might not be another empire down here, so I want to colonize in that direction and that direction to nick planets off other empires. That's what I think I'm going to do. So I won't come over there then, I'll come over in that direction. Okay. And if we come in here, that's only going to take 4 turns now. I don't really have the money to buy it, so I won't. Well, I'll see how long I've been playing for actually. Okay, I think I've got enough time to play on until the first citizen before I have to end the video. So let's pick up the capsule on the way up here. So I've actually got a boost to artificial gravity. Now the fact that it gives you a boost to your science does kind of mean that arguably you should micromanage your research to try and get boosts to really expensive technologies. That's something I have done in previous Let's Plays actually, but I'm not sure I will in this one because it does take a bit of micromanagement. Also, you can get free buildings as well. If you know that, you could like put a really expensive building on a planet that's near to an artifact and hope that you get it. Right, we've got our first colony ship here finished, so I'm going to press cancel so I got a decision about it. Has my asteroid come in yet? Yes, it has. So you can see the extra raw production. Now, based on the fact that your population is the square root, well, say you had a population of 16, to increase your raw production by an extra 1, you would have to get a population of 25 billion. The difference, an extra 9 billion in that circumstance. So you can see how much asteroids can be of value if it takes like 9 extra billion population in that circumstance to get an extra 1 raw production. So asteroids are incredibly important. And there's quite a few here actually, so yeah, pretty lucky start in that regard. So this can come up here. Let's keep on looking for more anomalies and also stars. No habitable planets there though. That's only space chunks, it's not such a big deal. Let's come up there. With the colony ship, I think I'm going to send it in that direction. Even though there are really good planets over there, it's unlikely that they will be colonized anytime soon. What's the population here? Now with the Torians, I should also mention the fact that they have a really good growth rate. You can see that because of being prolific, they get an extra 0.2 growth, and fertile on top gives an extra 40%. So we're growing at about 0.45 billion per turn basically, and the other races grow at 0.1 before percentage bonuses, which they don't have as much as the Torians. So this is a real big advantage with the Torians. They can get their raw production up a lot quicker, and raw production helps with all of these yields, apart from influence I believe, and food. So it's pretty big, of pretty big importance. So let's get this colony ship out. Well, I should do the math on this actually. I've already hit the caps here, so that's 12 billion. And how many turns is it taking me to get in these colony ships? It's taking me... where is the colony ship in here? Oh, spawner. Right, 5 turns. So 5 times 0.4, 0.5-ish. Yeah, I'll take 2.5 billion off, I think, then. I mean, often with the other races, I'd only be taking off 500 million, but since the population grows so quickly, I can stick a ton on already. Let's come up to there. I'll come up here en route, is it? Okay. No point in colonizing that yet. Let's end the turn. There's no risk of losing out on it. And there are reasons why I might not want to colonize that first other than that, which I'll mention probably in the next video now. Let's build another asteroid. Very important. So you want to save a bit of money back, definitely, for things like asteroids. Right, we've got this, an extra movement. That's going to help a huge amount. And I'm going to want more movement. So let's get this tech, which gives things like drives and sensors and extra range amongst other things. Very important. This survey ship can come up here. Okay. And the colony ship can, it was a black hole by there, by looks of it, things. Right. Research. Oh, I thought I picked that. Yeah. Select that. And we should get more research coming in next turn. Okay, so let's keep on coming up here. And what's that? Oh, another artifact. And there are 3 more habitable planets up there, so I definitely want to get some colony ships in that direction more than likely. This colony ship though is coming eastwards, and hopefully there's a route through these nebulas. Colony, so that's getting +1 for being next to the capital, so I'm getting 2 for the building of raw production to research, and an extra bonus to 1 from the capital. So that will certainly help in getting techs up a bit quicker. I'm going to get up the Epimetheus refinery next, which should actually increase our core ship production construction ability as well by +2, I think. Not 100% sure, I guess we'll see in the next video. This is new as well. You now have aid projects, so you can turn production into research. They're actually pretty useful as well in certain circumstances. Definitely will be using them later on. I think at this point though, I'm probably over half an hour I've recorded. We get the first citizen on turn 11, so I can discuss all about them then. And yeah, I'm going to call it the end of the first video here. So I've barely scratched the surface when it comes to discussing a new expansion and the current state of Galactic 3, but I'll be doing that in much greater detail in the upcoming videos, as well as hopefully doing very well against the Godlike AI. So in the upcoming videos as well, I'd be very grateful if you do like any of them as well, if you press the thumbs up, as it helps to boost my channel and YouTube search rankings, which is very important to helping people find the channel in the first place. And also, if you're new to the channel or even old to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. There's plenty more Forex content on a channel like this and other content besides. Please check out the homepage or the playlists. And also, you may have some questions that you'd like to ask. I respond to questions no matter how old a video is, or perhaps you just want to say hi in the comments. And yeah, so do so and I will respond basically. Other than that, I should mention I have a Twitter page these days which you may want to follow me on as well. And I also have a Patreon page, which is a way that people can help support the channel. Even an odd $1 or 2 every month from individuals goes a massive way in helping to keep making these videos. So I'd be very grateful if you were to decide to check out my Patreon page, and even more grateful if you decide to become a patron of mine. And I'd just like to thank my existing patrons, who without them I wouldn't be able to be still doing this at this point, with all of the things going on with YouTube and the declining ad revenues. But yeah, that's it then for this first video. So next time round, I've got a lot of colonizing to do, and like I mentioned, we get our first citizen in a couple of turns.